I remember the exact moment my husband first told me he was uncomfortable with how close I was to my best friend. We were sitting at our kitchen table on a Saturday morning, sunlight streaming through the windows, and I actually laughed. "You're being paranoid," I said, rolling my eyes as I sipped my coffee. Daniel's jaw tightened. "Emma, I'm not paranoid, I just think." Marcus has been my friend since college. He's like a brother to me. Brothers don't text at midnight asking if you're awake. I set my cup down harder than I meant to. "We're friends, Daniel. Friends talk. Not like this." "Like what, exactly?" He looked at me for a long moment, and I could see he was choosing his words carefully. "Like he's your husband, and I'm just here." I stood up, suddenly angry. "That's ridiculous. You're being insecure." "Am I?" His voice was quiet, almost defeated. "Because from where I'm sitting, you spend more time with him than with me." "That's not true. You had brunch with him 3 times last week. We haven't had a date night in over a month." I opened my mouth to argue, then closed it. He wasn't wrong about the facts, but he was wrong about what they meant. Marcus and I were just friends. We'd met during our MBA program 7 years ago and instantly clicked. He got my sense of humor, understood my career ambitions, and never judged me. Our friendship was easy, comfortable, completely platonic. "Daniel, you're reading into something that isn't there. Then help me understand. Help me see what you see." "There's nothing to see. He's my friend, that's it." Daniel rubbed his face with both hands. Okay, Emma, if you say so." But I could tell he didn't believe me. I could see it in the way his shoulders slumped, in the way he wouldn't meet my eyes. Part of me, a small, quiet part, whispered that maybe I should listen to him. That maybe his concerns were valid. I ignored that voice. "Why can't you just trust me?" I snapped. Daniel looked up at me then, and something in his expression made my stomach twist. "I do trust you, Emma. It's him I don't trust." "Well, that's your problem, not mine." The words came out harsher than I intended, but I didn't take them back. Daniel stood up without another word and left the kitchen. I heard our bedroom door close, not slam, just close quietly. Somehow that felt worse. I picked up my phone and saw a text from Marcus. "Coffee later." "Need to vent about work." I typed back, "Definitely, meet at 2. His response was immediate. "Perfect. You're the best, Em." I smiled at the message, but the smile felt wrong somehow. Like I was doing something I shouldn't be doing, even though I wasn't. We were just friends. Daniel needed to understand that. My coworker Sophie texted me later that afternoon. "Still on for that girls' night next week? Or are you busy with Marcus again?" There was a teasing edge to her message, but also something else. I chose to ignore it. "I'll be there," I replied. But even as I sent the message, I was already wondering if Marcus might need me that night. He'd been stressed about his job lately, and I was one of the few people he felt comfortable opening up to. That's what friends did. They showed up for each other. Daniel would understand eventually. He just needed time to get over his insecurities. I had no idea I was defending the beginning of my own destruction. The arguments became more frequent over the next few weeks. Daniel would bring up Marcus, and I would immediately get defensive. It became our pattern, our dance of dysfunction. "He's just jealous." I told myself whenever Daniel expressed concern. "He can't handle that I have a close male friend." Marcus, meanwhile, was always there with a sympathetic ear. "Your husband sounds really controlling," he said one evening as we sat at our favorite coffee shop. A secure man wouldn't feel threatened by a friendship. I nodded, feeling validated. "Thank you. That's exactly what I've been saying. You deserve someone who trusts you, Em." I took a sip of my latte, avoiding his eyes. "He does trust me. He doesn't understand our friendship. Or he doesn't want to understand it." Something about the way he said it made me uncomfortable, but I pushed the feeling aside. Marcus was my friend. He was on my side. The next confrontation with Daniel came on a Tuesday night. I'd stayed late at a work event, and Marcus had been there too. We'd ended up getting drinks afterward, just the two of us, and I hadn't checked my phone. When I got home at 11:30, Daniel was waiting up. "Where were you? A work event. I told you about it this morning. That ended at 9. I set my purse down. Marcus and I grabbed drinks after. We were catching up. You didn't think to text me. My phone died. Emma. His voice cracked on my name. Do you hear yourself? Do you hear the excuses? They're not excuses, they're explanations. He texted you at 1 a.m. last Thursday. 1 in the morning, Emma. He was going through something. He needed to talk. And I needed my wife, but you were too busy texting him to notice. I felt my anger rising. That's not fair. What's not fair is that your best friend calls you Sunshine and touches you like he has the right to, and I'm supposed to just be okay with it. He's affectionate, that's just his personality. With you, not with anyone else, just you. I wanted to argue, but I couldn't. I'd noticed that too, how Marcus seemed to save his warmth for me, how he was distant and professional with other women. But that just meant we had a special friendship, right? It didn't mean anything sinister. Daniel, you're seeing things that aren't there. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. Am I? Because last week when I came home, he had his arm around your shoulders. When I walked in, he didn't move it. He looked at me like he was daring me to say something. That's ridiculous. He was just what, Emma? Just being friendly. When does it stop being friendly and start being inappropriate? I didn't have an answer. Daniel's sister Rachel visited that weekend. She and Daniel were close, and I knew he'd probably told her about our problems. I braced myself for her judgment. Emma, can we talk? She asked over lunch while Daniel was in the other room. If this is about Marcus, it is. She set down her fork and looked at me directly. I love you, you're my sister-in-law, and I care about you. But I have to be honest from the outside. This looks like an emotional affair. I felt like she'd slapped me. That's insane. Is it? You're giving another man the emotional intimacy that should go to your husband. You prioritize Marcus's needs over Daniel's feelings. You defend Marcus when Daniel expresses pain. We're just friends. Emma, honey. I don't think you even realize what you're doing. But it's destroying my brother. I stood up from the table. I can't believe you're taking his side. There are no sides in a marriage. That's the problem, you've created sides, and you've put Marcus on yours instead of Daniel. I left the kitchen, furious and hurt. How dare she judge my friendship? How dare any of them? My mother called that night. Daniel must have talked to her too. Emma, sweetheart, I'm worried about you. Not you too, Mom. Honey, perception matters in a marriage. It doesn't matter if you think the friendship is innocent. It matters that it's hurting your husband. So, I'm supposed to abandon a 7-year friendship because Daniel is insecure? I'm not saying that. I'm saying you need to examine your priorities. What's more important, your marriage or this friendship? Why can't I have both? Her silence was answer enough. I hung up, frustrated and alone. Everyone was against me. No one understood except Marcus. I texted him, can we talk? Always, he replied. Your place or mine, coffee shop. 20 minutes. When I got there, he already had my favorite drink waiting. Rough day, he asked, his eyes full of concern. I broke down and told him everything, Rachel's accusations, my mother's call, Daniel's constant suspicions. They're trying to control you, Marcus said, his hand covering mine on the table. They want you to be small, to fit into their idea of what a wife should be. It doesn't feel that way, it feels like I'm disappointing everyone. You're not disappointing me, you're perfect exactly as you are. His hand squeezed mine, and I felt a warmth spread through my chest. This was what I needed, someone who understood me, who supported me, who didn't make me feel guilty for having friends. I didn't pull my hand away. A week later, I got an email about a conference in Chicago. Marcus would be there too. It was in our industry, and we'd talked about attending together. Daniel asked me not to go with Marcus. Please, Emma, I'm asking you as your husband, set this boundary. Go to the conference, but don't share flights or hotels with him. Don't spend the whole weekend together. You're being ridiculous. I'm being hurt. There's a difference. I went to the conference with Marcus anyway. We shared a ride to the airport, sat together on the plane, and spent the weekend attending panels and having dinners. It felt innocent to me, natural, easy. When I got home, Daniel barely spoke to me for 3 days. Then came the night that changed everything. Or maybe it was just the night I finally had to acknowledge what had been happening all along. Marcus and I were at a bar after a work function. We'd had a few drinks, and he was closer than usual, his hand resting on my knee as he talked. You deserve someone who appreciates you, someone who sees how incredible you are. I moved his hand away, but gently, carefully. Marcus, I'm just saying. You're too good for someone who makes you feel guilty for having friends. I should have addressed it then. I should have said something about boundaries, about appropriateness, about the fact that he'd crossed a line, but I didn't. I didn't want to ruin the friendship. I didn't want to lose the one person who made me feel seen and valued. So I laughed it off and changed the subject. When I got home that night, Daniel was already in bed, facing the wall. He didn't turn around when I came in, didn't ask about my evening, didn't say a word. The silence felt like a chasm opening between us. 2 days later, he sat me down. Emma, I can't do this anymore. My heart started racing. Do what? Watch you choose him over me. Over us, over our marriage. I'm not. Yes, you are. Every day, in 100 small ways, you're choosing him. And I'm done begging you to choose me instead. Daniel, you're being dramatic. Am I? When's the last time we had a conversation that didn't end in a fight about Marcus? When's the last time you came home and told me about your day instead of texting him about it? I opened my mouth but couldn't answer. Either you set serious boundaries with Marcus, or I don't know if I can stay in this marriage. The ultimatum hung in the air between us, heavy and final. I should have chosen Daniel in that moment. I should have said yes, of course, my marriage is more important than any friendship. But I didn't. You can't give me ultimatums about my friendships. Daniel's face fell and I watched something break behind his eyes. Okay, he said quietly. Okay, Emma. He didn't fight. He didn't argue. He just gave up, and I told myself I'd won. I chose Marcus, not explicitly, not consciously, but through every action I took over the following weeks. I told Daniel he was being unreasonable, that I wouldn't abandon a 7-year friendship because of his insecurities. If you can't trust me, then maybe we have bigger problems. I said coldly. Daniel's face went pale. I watched something shift in his expression. Not anger, but resignation. Like he'd finally accepted that I was never going to hear him. Maybe we do, he said quietly and walked away. After that, he stopped arguing. He stopped bringing up Marcus. He stopped trying to reach me at all. I interpreted this as victory. I thought he'd finally accepted my friendship with Marcus, that he'd gotten over his jealousy and learned to trust me. I was so wrong. Marcus, meanwhile, became more attentive than ever. He started bringing me lunch at work, showing up with my favorite coffee, texting me throughout the day. Thinking about you, he'd write, hope your meeting went well. Your husband doesn't appreciate how special you are, he said one afternoon as we walked through the park near my office. I laughed awkwardly. He appreciates me. Does he? Because from what you've told me, he just tries to control you. Part of me knew I shouldn't be having these conversations. Part of me knew I was feeding Marcus information he was using against my marriage, but another part of me, the part that craved validation and attention, liked hearing it. My colleague Jason pulled me aside one day during lunch. Emma, can I be honest with you? Sure. From an outside perspective, you and Marcus look like a couple. The way you are together, the way he looks at you. Your husband has every right to be concerned. I felt my defenses shoot up. We're just friends. Are you? Because I've had female friends, and I've never looked at them the way Marcus looks at you. You don't understand our relationship. Jason held up his hands. Okay. I'm just saying. Maybe your husband isn't crazy. Maybe he's seeing something real. I didn't speak to Jason for a week after that. My younger sister Amy came to visit and noticed immediately that something was off. Daniel seemed sad. She said as we cleaned up after dinner. He'd barely smiled all evening, had barely participated in conversation. He's stressed about work. Amy gave me a look. Emma, I'm not stupid. What's going on? Nothing. Everything's fine. Is this about that Marcus guy you're always talking about? What? No, why would you? Because you mention him constantly, and every time you do, Daniel's face does this thing like he's in pain. Amy, you don't understand. Then explain it to me. Explain why your husband looks like he's dying inside. I couldn't, so I changed the subject. The breaking point came on a random Thursday evening. Daniel came home from work early and found Marcus and me on the couch watching a movie. My feet were tucked under Marcus's leg, such a casual intimacy that I didn't even think about it anymore. Daniel stopped in the doorway. He didn't say anything. Didn't yell, didn't make a scene. He just turned around and walked to our bedroom. I followed him, already defensive. What's wrong now? Nothing. He was pulling clothes out of his dresser. Daniel talked to me. He turned to face me, and the exhaustion in his eyes was devastating. What do you want me to say, Emma? That I came home to find my wife cuddled up with another man. That this is normal, that I should be okay with it. We weren't cuddled up, we were just what? Just being friends. He laughed bitterly. Do you even hear yourself? Do you understand how this looks, how it feels? Nothing is happening. Why can't you see that? Daniel set down the clothes he was holding and looked at me with such sadness that my anger faltered. I don't think you even realize what's happening, Emma. And that's what scares me most. You're so deep in this, whatever this is, that you can't see it for what it really is. What are you talking about? You're having an emotional affair. You're giving him everything, your time, your energy, your emotional intimacy. And you're so convinced it's innocent that you can't see how it's destroying us. That's not true. Isn't it? When's the last time you confided in me instead of him? When's the last time I was the first person you wanted to talk to about your day? I opened my mouth but had no answer. That's what I thought. He picked up his clothes again. I'm going to stay at Tom's for a while. Panic shot through me. What? No, Daniel, you can't just leave. I can't stay. Not like this. Not watching you choose him over and over again while telling me I'm crazy for seeing it. You're being dramatic. He stopped at the door and looked back at me. Maybe. Or maybe I'm the only one being honest about what's happening here. Then he left, not storming out, not slamming doors, just quietly, sadly leaving our apartment while Marcus was still sitting on our couch. I stood there, frozen, listening to the front door close. Then I heard Marcus's voice from the living room. Emma, you okay? I should have asked him to leave. I should have run after Daniel. I should have done 100 things differently. Instead, I went back to the living room and broke down crying. Marcus pulled me into his arms and I let him. I cried into his shoulder while he stroked my hair and murmured reassurances. It's okay. You deserve better than this. You deserve someone who trusts you. I called him later that night after he'd gone home. We talked for 2 hours about my marriage, about Daniel's issues, about how unfair it all was. Marcus agreed with everything I said, validated every complaint, reinforced every defense I made. I fell asleep on the couch with my phone still in my hand, Marcus's supportive messages lighting up the screen. I thought I was right. I thought Daniel was the one with the problem. I had no idea that my entire world was about to shatter. It was a Thursday evening, 3 months after Daniel's ultimatum. I came home late from a dinner with Marcus, another just friends evening that had stretched past midnight. I was feeling good, even a little smug. Daniel's absence had given me freedom, space to nurture my friendship without constant judgment. I opened the front door and froze. Daniel was sitting in the dark living room, his face illuminated only by his laptop screen. He shouldn't have been here. He was staying at Tom's, but there he was, and the look on his face made my blood run cold. We need to talk, he said, his voice flat and emotionless. My stomach dropped. I knew that tone. I'd heard it in movies, read about it in articles. It was the tone of someone who had reached their limit, who had made a decision, who was done. What's going on? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Daniel turned his laptop toward me. On the screen was a Facebook message thread, and the name at the top made me freeze. Jenna Torres. Who's Jenna? I asked, though something in my gut already knew. Marcus's ex-girlfriend. She contacted me 2 days ago. My mouth went dry. What? Why? Sit down, Emma. I sat, my legs suddenly shaky. Daniel's voice was eerily calm as he explained. Jenna saw one of your social media posts with Marcus. She recognized the pattern. That's what she called it. A pattern. So she reached out to warn me. Warn you about what? He clicked something on his laptop, and a long message filled the screen. I leaned forward, reading words that made my heart pound. Targeted behavior. Emotional manipulation. Married women. Isolation tactics. I'm so sorry to tell you this, but I've seen this before. This is insane. I said. She's obviously a jealous ex making things up. Daniel clicked again. Screenshots filled Screen messages between Marcus and Jenna from 3 years ago. Messages that looked eerily familiar. Your boyfriend doesn't appreciate you. You deserve someone who sees how special you are. I'm the only one who really understands you. I felt sick. Those were almost word things Marcus had said to me. There's more, Daniel said, his voice cracking. He showed me another set of screenshots, messages between Marcus and a woman named Sarah, the same playbook, the same lines, the same gradual escalation from friendship to something more. That doesn't mean he's doing that with me, I protested, but my voice sounded weak even to my own ears. I'm different. Our friendship is different. Is it? Daniel closed the laptop and looked at me. Because Jenna said the same thing, and Sarah said the same thing. They all thought they were different, Emma. They all thought it was innocent until it wasn't. My mind was racing, trying to find a way to explain this away, to defend Marcus, to maintain my version of reality. But the evidence was right there, undeniable. There's something else, Daniel said quietly. He pulled out his phone and opened a video file. I requested the security footage from our building's elevator. From 2 weeks ago, I watched the video play. It showed Marcus and me coming home from a night of drinking. His arm was around my waist, and I was leaning into him, laughing at something. Timestamp showed 1:47 a.m. I didn't remember that night clearly. I remembered drinking, remembered Marcus walking me home, remembered waking up the next morning with a headache. But seeing it on screen, seeing how we looked together, intimate, couple, inappropriate, made my stomach turn. Did something happen that night? Daniel asked, and I could hear the pain beneath his careful control. I don't know, I was drunk. He walked me to the door and left. You think. I don't remember, but nothing happened. I would remember if something had happened. Would you? Daniel's voice finally broke. Because from where I'm sitting, you've been lying to yourself for so long that you don't even know what the truth is anymore. Daniel, I can't do this anymore. Emma, I've tried. God, I've tried so hard. I've begged. I've explained. I've shown you how much this hurts me. But you chose him over me, over and over again. I'm done. The words hit me like physical blows. No. No, Daniel, please. I'm done being made to feel crazy. I'm done being gaslit in my own marriage. I'm done competing with another man for my wife's attention and losing every single time. Suddenly, memories flooded back. Memories I'd suppressed or ignored. Marcus's hand lingering too long on my arm, the way he'd lean in too close when we talked. His comments about my appearance, my intelligence, how I deserved better. The way he'd subtly put Daniel down in every conversation, making me doubt my husband while building himself up as the alternative. Oh God, Jenna was right. This was a pattern, and I'd fallen for it completely. Where are you going? I asked as Daniel stood up and walked toward our bedroom. To pack, he said simply, I'm staying at Tom's place. You can have the apartment. I just need to be away from this. Daniel, please let me. There's nothing to say, Emma. You made your choice. Now you have to live with it. I followed him into the bedroom, watching him throw clothes into a suitcase, and something inside me finally cracked open. The denial, the defensiveness, the blind loyalty to Marcus. It all started to crumble. What had I done? I'll cut him off. I said desperately, I'll block him. I'll never talk to him again. Just please don't go. Daniel zipped his suitcase and finally looked at me. His eyes were red, exhausted, devastated. It's too late for that. You should have done that months ago. You should have done it the first time I asked, but you chose him instead. And now? Now I don't know if there's anything left to save. He walked past me, and I grabbed his arm. Daniel, I love you. I know, he said softly, pulling away. But love isn't enough when there's no trust. And Emma, I don't trust you anymore. I don't even know if I like you anymore. The words shattered something inside me. I watched him walk out of our bedroom, out of our apartment, out of our life together. The door closed with a soft click that sounded like the end of everything. I stood there in the empty apartment, Jenna's words echoing in my head. I've seen this before. And slowly, horrifyingly, I began to see it too. Daniel left that night with a single suitcase, and I sat alone in our apartment, my mind racing. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that security footage. Marcus's arm around my waist, body leaning into his, the timestamp mocking me, 1:47 a.m. I picked up my phone and started scrolling through my messages with Marcus. Reading them with fresh eyes, with Jenna's warning ringing in my ears, was like watching a slow-motion car crash. Your husband doesn't deserve you. He'd said that at least a dozen times. You're too good for him. Another constant refrain. If I were your husband, I'd never make you feel this way. A line I'd thought was sympathetic, but now recognized as him positioning himself as the alternative. Oh God, it was all there. The pattern was so clear now that I couldn't believe I'd missed it. Every conversation had been carefully designed to drive a wedge between Daniel and me. Every compliment had been paired with a subtle criticism of my husband. Every supportive comment had actually been manipulation. Marcus had been grooming me. For months, maybe years, he'd been systematically destroying my marriage from the inside, and I'd let him. No, worse than that, I'd defended him. I'd chosen him over the man who actually loved me. My hands were shaking as I kept scrolling. Messages about how controlling Daniel was. Messages about how I deserved to be free. Messages sent at midnight, at 1 a.m., at 2 a.m. times when I should have been with my husband, not texting another man. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. At 3 a.m., I called Sophie. She answered on the fourth ring, her voice thick with sleep. Emma, what's wrong? I need you, please. Can you come over? Are you okay? Are you hurt? No, yes, I don't know. Please, I'll be there in 20 minutes. Sophie arrived in sweatpants and a hoodie, her hair in a messy bun, concern written all over her face. I fell apart the moment she walked through the door. I ruined everything. I sobbed. Sophie, I ruined my marriage. She held me while I told her everything: Jenna's message, the security footage, the screenshots of Marcus's conversations with other women, Daniel leaving. Sophie, was I emotionally cheating? I asked, though I already knew the answer. She was quiet for a moment, choosing her words carefully. Emma, honey. Yeah, you were. You were giving Marcus everything that should have gone to your husband, your time, your emotional energy, your intimacy. But I didn't mean to. I thought we were just friends. I know you thought that. But intention doesn't erase impact. You hurt Daniel deeply, even if you didn't mean to. What do? You fix it, if you can. But Emma, it's going to take a lot more than apologies. You're going to have to completely change. I couldn't stop crying. Sophie stayed with me through the night, holding me while I shattered into pieces. My father called at 8 a.m. Daniel had reached out to him. Emma, your mother and I tried to warn you. We saw what was happening. I know, Dad. I know I was so stupid. Daniel is a good man. He loves you. But you've hurt him in ways that might not heal. I know. The words came out as a whisper. What are you going to do to fix this? I don't know. I don't even know if I can. You have to try. You owe him that much. After I hung up with my dad, Rachel called. Daniel's sister was furious. You've destroyed my brother. She said without preamble. He's been crying for 3 days straight. He's devastated, Emma. Absolutely devastated. Rachel, I'm so sorry. Sorry isn't enough. He gave you everything. He loved you with his whole heart. And you threw it away for some manipulative asshole who was just trying to get into your pants. Her words were harsh, but I deserved them. I deserved worse. He won't talk to me. I said weakly, good. You don't deserve to talk to him right now. You need to figure out who you are and why you did this before you can even think about trying to fix it. She hung up before I could respond. I tried calling Daniel multiple times throughout the day. He didn't answer. I sent long text messages apologizing, explaining that I finally understood, begging for a chance to talk. He responded only once, I need space. Those 3 words broke me all over again. Sophie came back that evening with takeout. Have you eaten today? I can't. You need to. Come on. We sat at my kitchen table, the same table where Daniel had first expressed his concerns, where I'd laughed him off and called him paranoid. I need to confront Marcus, I said suddenly. Sophie looked up from her food. Why? Because I need to see him for who he really is. I need to hear him admit what he did. Emma, I don't think that's a good idea. I have to. I have to know if Jenna was right. I have to hear it from him. Sophie studied my face for a long moment. Okay. But I'm coming with you. No, I need to do this alone. At least do it in a public place. Don't be alone with him. I nodded. The coffee shop. Tomorrow morning. That night, I lay awake in my empty bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of my friendship with Marcus. Every laugh that had felt conspiratorial, every touch that had lingered too long, every comment that had made me feel special while making Daniel feel small. How had I been so blind? More importantly, how was I going to live with what I'd done? I asked Marcus to meet me at a coffee shop the next day. My hands were shaking as I waited for him, rehearsing what I'd say. Part of me still hoped Jenna was wrong, that there was an innocent explanation, that my best friend wasn't the monster Daniel claimed he was. When Marcus walked in with his usual warm smile and concerned eyes, I felt physically sick. "Hey, sunshine, you sounded upset on phone. What's going on?" he asked, reaching across the table to touch my hand. I pulled away. That was the first time I'd ever done that, and I saw a flicker of something cross his face. Annoyance, maybe, or calculation. "Did something happen with Daniel?" he asked, his voice dripping with fake concern. That's when I knew. That's when I saw the mask. "Yes, something happened with Daniel," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "He was contacted by your ex-girlfriend, Jenna." Marcus's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes went cold. "Jenna? I haven't talked to her in years. She contacted him to warn him about you, about your pattern of targeting women in relationships. That's ridiculous. Jenna's crazy. Stop." I said firmly, "Just stop." "I saw the screenshots, Marcus. I saw your messages to her. And to Sarah, the same things you've been saying to me." He leaned back in his chair, and for a moment, his mask slipped completely. "What did Daniel show you?" "Everything. Your messages about how their boyfriends didn't deserve them. How they deserved better. How you were the only one who understood them. Emma, listen. No, you listen. Did you do it? Have you been manipulating me this whole time?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "So what if I did?" I stared at him, unable to believe what I was hearing. So what if I did?" he repeated, his voice changing completely. The warmth was gone, replaced by something cold and calculating. "You were unhappy with Daniel anyway. I could see it. All I did was help you realize what you already knew. That you deserved better." "Better? You mean you—" he shrugged, actually shrugged. "Daniel was always going to lose you eventually. He's boring, Emma. Conventional, safe. I was giving you excitement, intellectual stimulation, real connection. You felt it too. Don't pretend you didn't." I felt rage building inside me. We were friends. "I trusted you." Marcus leaned forward, his expression almost amused. "Come on, Emma. You're not that naive. There's no such thing as just friends between attractive people. There's always an angle. I was patient, waiting for the right moment. But then your husband had to go and play detective. He said it like Daniel was the villain in this story. Like my husband trying to save our marriage was somehow wrong. "You're disgusting," I said. Standing up, "You deliberately destroyed my marriage." "I didn't destroy anything. You did. You chose to spend time with me. You chose to confide in me. You chose to prioritize me over him. I just encouraged those choices. You manipulated me. I gave you what you wanted: attention, validation, someone who made you feel special. If your marriage was so great, I wouldn't have been able to get between you. The worst part was that he wasn't completely wrong. I had been susceptible to his manipulation because something was missing in my marriage, not because of Daniel, but because of me. Because I'd stopped communicating, stopped prioritizing, stopped putting in the work. "Don't contact me again," I said, my voice shaking, "ever." As I turned to leave, Marcus called after me, his voice mocking, "Running back to Daniel? Good luck with that. He won't take you back. I made sure of that." I froze. "What did you do?" He smiled, cruel and satisfied. "Let's just say I've been documenting our friendship pretty thoroughly. Photos, messages, receipts from all our dinners and trips. If he tries to divorce you, you won't get a penny. You'll be the cheating wife. I didn't cheat. Didn't you? You gave me everything a girlfriend would give. The only thing missing was sex, and we both know that was just a matter of time. You're delusional. Am I? Tell me honestly, Emma, if Daniel hadn't found out, how much longer before you would have left him, before one of our late nights ended differently? before you finally admitted what you were feeling. I wanted to tell him he was wrong. I wanted to say that would never have happened. But looking back at the trajectory we'd been on, at how blurred the lines had become, I wasn't sure I could. Stay away from me, I said and walked out of the coffee shop. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely unlock my car. I sat in the driver's seat, staring at nothing, trying to process what had just happened. Marcus had never been my friend. He'd been a predator, and I'd been his prey. He'd systematically isolated me from my husband, poisoned my mind against the man who loved me, and positioned himself as the alternative, all while making me think it was my idea, and I'd fallen for it completely. I drove aimlessly for an hour, crying so hard I could barely see the road. Eventually, I found myself parked outside Tom's apartment building, where Daniel was staying. I had to talk to him. I had to tell him I finally understood. I had to try to fix this. I didn't know if he'd even let me in, but I had to try. I drove straight to Tom's apartment, my heart pounding. Tom answered the door with a guarded expression. "Emma," he said curtly, "is Daniel here? Please, I need to talk to him." Tom hesitated, studying my face. "He doesn't want to see you. I know, but please. I finally understand everything. I was wrong. I was so wrong." Tom's expression softened slightly. "He's been destroyed, Emma. I've never seen my brother like this. I know, and I hate myself for it. Please, Tom, just 5 minutes." He sighed. "He's in the guest room. But Emma, if you hurt him again, I swear, I won't. I promise." Tom stepped aside, and I walked down the hall with shaking legs. I knocked softly on the guest room door. "Tom," I said, "I'm fine." Daniel's voice cut off when he opened the door and saw me. His expression didn't change. It was like looking at a stranger. "Can we talk?" I asked softly. He was silent for a long moment. Then he stepped back, letting me in. The room was sparse. Just a bed, a dresser, a small desk. Daniel's suitcase was in the corner, still partially unpacked. The sight of it, of my husband living out of a suitcase because I'd driven him from our home, made me want to cry. "What do you want, Emma?" I confronted Marcus. Daniel's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. "You were right about everything. Jenna was right. He admitted it. He was deliberately trying to destroy our marriage. He was manipulating me the whole time, and I was too blind to see it. Okay. Just, okay, no emotion, no reaction. Daniel, I'm so sorry. I was blind. I was stupid. I let him poison my mind against you. I chose him over you, and it's the biggest mistake of my life." "Is that what you came here to say?" "I came here to tell you that I finally understand. I finally see what you were trying to tell me for months, and I hate myself for not listening sooner." Daniel sat down on the bed, suddenly looking exhausted. "Emma, I loved you more than anything. I would have done anything for you, but you made me feel crazy. You gaslit me for months, made me question my own sanity, my own worth. Every time I expressed concern, you made me feel like the problem, like I was controlling or insecure or jealous." His voice was steady but filled with pain. "I tried so hard to show you what was happening, to make you see, but you didn't want to see. You chose to believe him over me again and again. I reached for his hand, but he pulled away. Don't let the rejection hurt, but I deserved it. Daniel, I was wrong. I know that now. I know sorry isn't enough, but do you know I've been in therapy?" He interrupted. I froze. "What?" "For the past 2 months. Every week. Dr. Martinez has been helping me deal with the anxiety and depression your behavior was causing." "Daniel, I didn't know." "Of course you didn't know, because you weren't paying attention. You were too busy with Marcus to notice that your husband was falling apart." Each word was a knife to my heart. Dr. Martinez helped me realize I was in an emotionally abusive situation. He continued, "That what you were doing. The gaslighting, the dismissing my feelings, the prioritizing another man was destroying me. And when I finally understood that, I knew I had to leave or lose myself. Completely. I never meant to." "You were having an emotional affair, Emma. Maybe you didn't see it that way. Maybe you convinced yourself it was innocent, but that's what it was. And when I told you it was hurting me, you didn't care enough to stop." "I care now," I whispered. Daniel looked at me with such sadness. Does that matter? You only care now because you got caught, because Marcus showed his true colors. But if none of that had happened, you'd still be choosing him over me. You'd still be making me feel crazy for seeing what was right in front of my face. That's not true. Isn't it? Be honest, Emma. If Jenna hadn't contacted me, if I hadn't shown you that evidence, would you have changed anything? I wanted to say yes. I wanted to believe that I would have eventually seen the truth on my own. But I couldn't lie anymore. I don't know, I admitted. Daniel nodded, like that was the answer he'd expected. I need time. I don't know if I can ever trust you again. I don't know if I even want to try. Daniel, please. You destroyed something in me, Emma. Something I don't know if I can get back. Every time I think about the past 6 months, I feel sick. Every time I remember how you defended him while making me feel like the villain, I want to scream. I'll do anything. Therapy, boundaries, complete transparency. Anything you need. He stood up, creating distance between us. It's not about what I need. It's about whether I have anything left to give you. And right now, I honestly don't know. So that's it. We're over. I don't know, he said quietly. I need space to figure out what I want, what I can live with, whether the love I still have for you is enough to overcome the hurt you've caused. You still love me. Unfortunately, yes. I wish I didn't. It would make this so much easier. I stood there, tears streaming down my face, watching the man I loved struggle with whether he could stay with me. I'm going to cut Marcus out completely, I said. Block him everywhere. No contact ever again. You should have done that months ago. I know I should have, but I'm doing it now. And I'll do whatever else you need. Just please, don't give up on us yet. Daniel looked at me for a long time. I'm not giving up, but I'm not coming back either, not yet. Maybe not ever. I need time, Emma. I need space to heal from what you did to me. Okay, I whispered. Okay, take all the time you need. As I turned to leave, Daniel called my name. I looked back, hope flickering. I mean it about the space, he said. Don't text me every day. Don't show up here. Don't try to force this. If there's any chance for us, it's going to take time. Real time. I understand. I walked out of Tom's apartment, and the finality of it hit me like a freight train. I'd lost my husband. Maybe not permanently, maybe not forever, but I'd lost him, and it was entirely my fault. I got in my car and drove home to our empty apartment. When I walked in, I was hit by memories Daniel making breakfast on Sunday mornings. The two of us dancing in the kitchen, lazy evenings on the couch together. All of it felt like a lifetime ago. I picked up my phone and blocked Marcus on every platform. His number, social media, email, everything. I deleted our text thread without reading it again. I removed every photo of us from my phone. He was dead to me now. But the damage he'd caused would last much longer. The weeks that followed were the darkest of my life. Daniel filed for separation, though not divorce, not yet. He said he needed space to figure out what he wanted. I moved through my days like a zombie, barely functioning at work, barely sleeping, barely eating. But while my life was falling apart, something else was happening. Marcus's life was imploding too. Sophie called me on a Tuesday afternoon. Have you seen it? Seen what? The post about Marcus. It's everywhere. My hands were shaking as I logged into social media. There, at the top of my feed, was a detailed post from Jenna. She'd compiled everything. Screenshots of Marcus's messages to multiple women, testimony from 3 different women he'd targeted, a clear breakdown of his manipulation tactics. The post ended with, "If you're friends with this man, please be careful, especially if you're in a relationship. This is his pattern, and he's very good at making you think you're special, that you're different, you're not. You're just his next target." The post had been shared hundreds of times. I recognized names from our professional circle, from our industry networking groups. Everyone was seeing this. Marcus's reputation was destroyed overnight. Jason texted me, "Did you see the post about Marcus? Are you okay?" I didn't know how to respond, so I didn't. Sophie came over that evening with wine and takeout. "His life is falling apart," she said as we sat on my couch. "He's been asked to leave our professional networking group. 3 women have come forward with similar stories. His company is doing an investigation into his conduct. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I just felt empty. I'm glad he's facing consequences. I said quietly, but it doesn't fix what I did to Daniel. No, Sophie agreed, but it validates what Daniel was trying to tell you. He wasn't crazy. He was right. I know. Sophie put her arm around me. I saw the signs too, Emma. I should have said something more forcefully. I should have sat you down and told you what it looked like from the outside. Would I have listened? Probably not, but I should have tried harder. My mother called later that week. Your father and I want you to come home for the weekend. Mom, I can't. I have work. Emma, you need family right now. Come home. Let us take care of you. I went. My parents greeted me with hugs and compassion, but also hard truths. We raised you to be stronger than this. My mother said as we sat in their kitchen, to value your commitments, to honor your marriage. I know, Mom. So what happened? Help us understand. I tried to explain the manipulation, the validation, the slow erosion of my judgment. But even as I said it, I knew it sounded like excuses. You made choices, my father said firmly. Marcus may have manipulated you, but you chose to spend time with him. You chose to prioritize him. You chose to dismiss Daniel's concerns. Those were your choices, Emma. I know, Dad, I know. Amy came over that evening. She was more gentle than our parents, sitting beside me and holding my hand. You messed up big time, sis, I know. But you're not the first person to make a mistake in a marriage. The question is what you do now. Daniel won't even talk to me. Can you blame him? No. Then you wait, you work on yourself. You figure out why you were vulnerable to Marcus's manipulation in the first place. And if Daniel decides to give you another chance, you make damn sure you become someone who deserves it. I started seeing a therapist the following week. Dr. Chen was patient but direct. You mentioned seeking validation from Marcus. Let's talk about why you needed that external validation. What was missing internally? Over the next few weeks, we unpacked years of issues: my need for approval, my fear of being ordinary, my tendency to avoid difficult conversations. Marcus had exploited all of it, but vulnerabilities had been there long before him. Marcus didn't create these issues, Dr. Chen explained. He just found them and used them. The work now is to address the root causes so you're never vulnerable to this kind of manipulation again. I also had to face Rachel. Daniel's sister agreed to meet me at a coffee shop, and the look on her face when she arrived was cold. I don't forgive you, she said bluntly. I don't expect you to. But I can see you're genuinely sorry. That's more than I expected. We talked for over an hour. She told me how destroyed Daniel was, how he'd cried himself to sleep at Tom's apartment, how he'd questioned everything about himself. You broke the strongest person I know, Rachel said. Do you understand that? I do. He still loves you. But love isn't enough when trust is gone. I don't know if he'll ever be able to trust you again, Emma. I don't know if you're worth the risk. Neither do I admitted. Rachel studied my face. At least you're being honest. That's a start. 4 weeks after Daniel left, my phone buzzed with a text. Let's talk. Coffee tomorrow at 10. I stared at the message for a full minute, my heart racing. It was the first direct communication we'd had in a month. I didn't know whether to feel hopeful or terrified. I'll be there, I typed back. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay awake, thinking about everything I wanted to say, everything I needed him to understand. Tomorrow would either be the beginning of healing or the final end of our marriage. I had no idea which one it would be. I arrived at the coffee shop 15 minutes early, my heart pounding so hard I thought I might be sick. When Daniel walked in, I barely recognized him. He'd lost weight, looked exhausted, but there was something in his bearing, a resolve that hadn't been there before. We sat across from each other, and the weight of everything unsaid was suffocating. Thank you for meeting me, I said softly. Daniel nodded. I needed time to think, to figure out what I want. I braced myself for the worst. And what do you want? He took a deep breath. I want to understand why, not the surface reasons. I know Marcus manipulated you. But why were you vulnerable to that manipulation in the first place? Why did you let someone else into the space that should have been ours? It was a fair question, one I've been asking myself in therapy for weeks. I felt taken for granted sometimes. I admitted, not because of anything you did, but because marriage isn't. It isn't as exciting as dating was. And Marcus made everything feel exciting again. He made me feel seen and special and interesting. Daniel listened without interrupting, and instead of talking to you about it, instead of working on our marriage, I let someone else fill those gaps. I was selfish, Daniel. I wanted your stability and his excitement. I wanted to feel desired without having to do the hard work of maintaining desire in a long-term relationship. So you used him to fill what was missing. I didn't see it that way at the time, but yes, I convinced myself I could have both, a marriage and this special friendship, without seeing the conflict, without understanding that emotional intimacy with him meant taking it away from you. Daniel was quiet for a moment. I felt increasingly shut out. Every time I tried to talk to you about it, you became defensive. You made me feel like I was the problem, like I was crazy for seeing what was happening. I know. And I'm so sorry. You made me question everything about myself, Emma. My attractiveness, my personality, my worth as a husband. You did that to me. Not just Marcus, you. The words were brutal but necessary. I didn't make excuses. I just sat there and let myself feel the full weight of what I'd done. Then Daniel said something that made my heart stop. I went on a date last week. My stomach dropped. What? Rachel set me up with her friend Nicole. I don't know what I thought. Maybe that it would help me move on. Or at least show me if that was possible. The jealousy that ripped through me was intense and immediate. This must be how Daniel felt watching me with Marcus, except multiplied by months of dismissal and gaslighting. Do you like her? I asked, hating how small my voice sounded. Daniel was quiet for a moment. She's nice. Interesting, uncomplicated, but the whole time I kept thinking about you. About whether what we had can ever be fixed or if it's just gone. I started crying, not manipulative tears, but genuine soul. Deep grief. I'm so sorry. I know sorry isn't enough. I know I destroyed your trust, but Daniel, I love you. I never stopped loving you. I just lost my way. Why should I believe that? Why should I believe any of this isn't just because you got caught? Because I've been in therapy. Because I've cut Marcus out completely. Because I've spent every day for the past month trying to understand who I became and how to be better. Not for you, for me, because I don't want to be that person anymore. Daniel studied my face. Doctor, Martinez says trust can be rebuilt, but only if both people commit to complete honesty and accountability. Only if the person who broke the trust is willing to do the hard work. He looked at me intently. Are you willing to do that work, Emma? Are you willing to cut Marcus out completely, go to couples therapy, accept that it might take years for me to trust you again? Are you willing to make me the priority you should have made me all along? Yes, I said immediately, whatever it takes. However long it takes, it means complete transparency. Your phone, your location, your friendships. I need to be able to trust again, and that's going to require openness you might find uncomfortable. I understand. It means if I'm having a hard day and need reassurance, you don't get to be annoyed or defensive. You caused this wound. You have to help heal it. I will. Daniel's expression softened slightly, but he wasn't done. I need to be honest with you too. I don't know if I can fully forgive this. Part of me is broken in a way that might never heal, but I'm willing to try. If you prove, through actions not words, that you've changed, I'll prove it. Every day, for as long as it takes. Dr. Martinez wants to see us together. Weekly sessions, maybe twice a week at first. Are you willing? Yes, absolutely. And you need to understand, we're not reconciled yet. This isn't me moving back home and everything going back to normal. This is us giving healing a chance. It might not work. I understand. Daniel reached across the table and took my hand. It was the first time he'd touched me voluntarily in over a month, and I felt tears streaming down my face. I still love you, Emma. I hate that I do, but I can't just turn it off. But love isn't enough if you can't change. If you can't become someone I can trust again. I'm already changing. I promise. We sat there for a long time, holding hands across the table, two broken people trying to figure out if we could build something new from the wreckage. It wasn't a happy ending. It wasn't even a reconciliation, but it was a chance, and I was going to take it. 6 months have passed since that coffee shop conversation, and my life looks nothing like it did a year ago. Daniel and I are back living together, but everything is different now, more intentional, more honest, more fragile. We go to therapy every week, sometimes together with Dr. Martinez, sometimes separately. Process has been excruciating and beautiful in equal measure. How are you feeling about the relationship today? Dr. Martinez asked during our last session. Hopeful, Daniel said. For the first time in a long time, I feel hopeful. I reached for his hand and he let me take it. Small victories like that still make my heart soar. I've had to confront ugly truths about myself. My need for external validation, my conflict avoidance, my selfishness disguised as independence. Daniel has had to confront his own issues too. His tendency to bottle emotions until they explode, his fear of seeming controlling, his difficulty setting firm boundaries. We're both different people now. Better people. I hope Sophie has been my accountability partner throughout this process. She asks me hard questions every week. How are things with Daniel? Are you prioritizing him? Are you being honest about your friendships? Last week, Daniel's colleague Madison invited him to a networking event. He came to me, slightly uncomfortable. She's been friendly lately. Too friendly, maybe. I don't know if I'm reading into it or if it's real, but I wanted to tell you. Instead of dismissing his concern like I would have before, I thanked him for being honest. Do you want me to come with you? I offered. The look of relief and love on his face reminded me why I'm doing this hard work. Would you? That would actually make me feel a lot better. Of course. We're a team, and we are. Finally, we're actually a team. My family has been cautiously optimistic. My mother said recently, "We see you trying, Emma." That's what matters. Amy has become a surprising source of wisdom. Marriage is a choice you make every day. She reminded me last week, not just on your wedding day. Daniel and I have implemented new rules and rituals. Weekly date nights that are non-negotiable, daily check-ins about our feelings, complete transparency about friendships and work relationships, and a commitment to addressing issues immediately rather than letting them fester. It's exhausting sometimes, but it's working. Do you think you'll ever trust me completely again? I asked Daniel during therapy last month. He thought for a long moment. I don't know, but I trust you more than I did 6 months ago. That's progress. Dr. Martinez nodded. Trust after betrayal isn't about returning to naive faith. It's about building something new, informed trust, where both partners understand the value of what they have and protect it fiercely. I've also changed professionally. I set better boundaries, work decline networking, invitations that feel inappropriate, and I'm more aware of how my actions are perceived. I learned through Sophie that Marcus moved to another city after his reputation was destroyed here. Multiple women filed complaints with his company, and he was eventually let go. I feel no sympathy for him, only disgust at how thoroughly he fooled me. This evening, Daniel and I are cooking dinner together, something we do most nights now. He's telling me about a funny interaction with Tom, laughing in a way he hasn't in over a year. I find myself just watching him, overwhelmed with gratitude that he gave me another chance. What? He asks, noticing me staring. Nothing. I say, smiling, I just love you. He walks over and kisses my forehead. I love you too. We're going to be okay. And for the first time since everything fell apart, I actually believe him. I've written this letter in my journal. Words I'll never send but need to express. It's addressed to the version of myself from a year ago. Dear past Emma, you're about to lose everything. You think you're defending friendship and independence, but you're actually destroying your marriage. Marcus isn't your friend, he never was. He's been playing a long game, slowly poisoning your mind against your husband, positioning himself as the alternative, and you're letting him because it feels good to be pursued, to feel special. Listen to Daniel. Listen when he tells you something makes him uncomfortable. Listen when he says he's hurting. He's not trying to control you. He's trying to save marriage from someone who wants to destroy it. You'll learn all of this the hard way. You'll lose Daniel's trust, maybe forever. You'll see Marcus's true face and it will sicken you. You'll realize that you were the villain in your own story, not the victim. Then you'll have to do the hardest work of your life to try to fix what you broke. I wish I could spare you the pain. I wish I could make You see, but I know I can't. You're too stubborn, too defensive, too convinced of your own righteousness. So you'll have to learn through loss. Just know this. Daniel loves you more than you deserve. Right now, if you're lucky, if you're very, very lucky, he'll give you the chance to become someone who deserves that love. Don't waste it. Love, future Emma. I close my journal and look at the photo on my nightstand and Daniel and me on our wedding day, young and hopeful and naive about what marriage would require. We're building something new now, something scarred but stronger. I don't know if we'll make it forever, but I know I'm finally fighting for the right things, and that has to be enough. The end